and to read them back if you need to choose, or you can do like Kathy did, like, I want that one.
Okay.
And will you tell us your name?
Sherri D.
Sherri, very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
C-H-E-R-I or S-H?
S-H-E-R-R-I.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about sleep. It's a subject that is very personal to me, and I am expanding on this topic to be a sleep expert. Do you want me to keep talking about that before you throw a question out, or?
You can do another line or two.
Okay. So I work with sleep products, and one of the things that I'm really focused on, I've been doing research for a couple of years about sleep, is I want to have an influence and impact in work cultures about how little people respect sleep. And so I'm very passionate about going in and educating people, waking them up to how important sleep is to their longevity, to their productivity, to their creativity, so many aspects of sleep.
Good.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Table topic.
What do you think about siestas? Are siestas important for the American worker?
Our siesta's important.
Why would I have a sleep expert talk to my professional team, my corporate team?
Why should someone come talk in my workplace?
And sleep, how does sleep affect your weight and all that sort of thing and your overall health?
I'm going to go with the sleep and talking because that's like right there for me. Okay.
Okay, and 3 minutes on that or 2. Your choice.
I'll do 2. I'll be safe.
You got it. You got it. And I'll be over here. And actually, Lloyd, if you see me do it, but you know she's over there with you and she's not noticing me, can you reinforce it? Thanks. Okay.
So, do you know that more important than your diet, your exercise, and even genetics, the most important aspect of how long you will live is how well you sleep. And that is critical, certainly from a personal level, because we all want to live a long time, a good life. But I want to bring it to the specifics of how your employees, how your top executives, how they show up day to day, and how productive are they going to be. Because when people don't sleep well or sleep enough, it immediately has an impact on their immune system, and it has a huge impact on how well their brain functions. So do you want your employees to come in a fog where they're needing to take something to supplement them all through the day? Or do you want your employees to show up with a clear head and creative ideas, and they're in a productive, alert mode? We, as a culture, we have not respected sleep. And it's gotten worse because in today's world, it's a 24/7 life, right? You can access the internet at all hours of the day and TV at all hours of the day. And so we have to teach people how critical it is to go to bed and then be able to wake up in the morning and get things done, as opposed to losing sleep over a particular project. Thank you.
And actually, Sherri, if you would just stay up there, it's just so much better on the video when somebody's in the frame.
Thank you.
I know.
Over to you, Lloyd.
So how did you feel like you did?
I felt good, and I felt like it would help to have, I feel like I wish I'd had a little bit more preparedness. I felt like I connected well. I'm very passionate about it. I hope that came across. And I felt like all of a sudden I was a little bit treading of, am I going to make the important points in this amount of time I have? So that was my only big challenge.
So here's here's what I would offer you to think about. First of all, I know it wasn't a prepared talk, so you did really good at doing it ad hoc. And I could see your mind work, or I could feel your mind working and connecting the different things. And I could see you kind of going through your Rolodex of ideas and picking stuff and putting them in there. One of the things I wrote down here is talk about the problem. You know, you kind of intermixed the value of sleeping and what happens if someone doesn't sleep. And if you talk about a problem that people can relate with and identify with, then give an illustration of it. And then you can bring in how you can solve that problem. So when you talk about a problem that people own, that people relate with, then they start emotionally connecting with you. And they start feeling the same problem. And when you illustrate it, then you get people in the room and go, yeah, I've done the same thing. And then you can, like you talked about the chief executive. So, you know, a story of a chief executive that, you know, went to his kid's soccer game, they went out to dinner, he stayed up late and watched a football game, he had a 7 o'clock meeting and he came in, it was a few minutes late. He didn't know that he was going to be asked to talk. He was asked to stand up and give a talk on something. And he was having struggling thinking of the things he was going to talk about or connecting the dots on it. You know, how many times have you struggled with that? I mean, that's an illustration of a problem that people can relate with.
Great.
So I think your topic is really good because I think there's a lot of science behind sleeping, but you know, talk to people's hearts, not to their mind. When you talk to people's hearts, then people relate with you, and their mind will accept the solution if they've already emotionally taken ownership over it.
Great feedback, thank you.
Sherri, really well done. I mean, it's fantastic that you just pulled that out of your cuff. It was just amazing. And I love how you gave us the critically important factors of sleep and its relationship to performance. I think a lot of people don't know that. And the piece that I would say would be to review the tape and just look at it is that, just betraying my age, there used to be actual tape in those machines. There was. You did ask us questions about that, like did you know and whatnot, but they became rhetorical questions because you weren't waiting for our answers. So I would say if you're going to ask us questions, that's great, but then pause and wait for our or confused looks or our nods. And you can tell us what you're seeing because in an audience, usually we're rows of people and we don't know what's going on behind us. And you can say, I'm seeing half of the room nodding and half of you are kind of going, You know, like play with us that way. That's the way to connect. Or I'm seeing like deadpan looks. Are y'all asleep? You know, like I'm asking a real question here, people.
This is important. This is topical.
This is what we're talking about. Wake up, everybody.
So it's great to use the power of question, but like have it really be an interactive dialogue that way with us and have draw us in and make it fun.
And the whole thing with questions, it's such a shtick right now. Like everyone is doing the rhetorical questions, and more is starting to feel like, do you really care what I think?
That's
Why are you
right.
asking me?
Yeah.
So people walking down the street, how you doing? And they just keep on walking. And when I ask people how they're doing and they just keep walking, I'm like looking at them. They're like, what are you looking for? I'm like, looking for the answer. I really want to know.
Right.
Oh, you care? And it shows that you care. And that's the connection. That's when the audience feels connected, is when they know you care and you can show us through little cues like that, little social cues.
Thank you.
That's great.
Professor, I thought your passion really did come through. And I love your naturalness. It's so refreshing. You know,
Thank you.
A couple of comments I loved, because I'm down with the data. So, weight loss or weight gain have to do with sleep. Oh my gosh, the data's blowing up about that. We actually have clock genes. We don't eat on time, okay? It can throw off our metabolic rate, throw off our sleeping, and everything's related. So your data, I was clicking through. I'm like, she's got it. What I would like to see you do is, because I'm understanding you're building your business, is to actually have 3 points. You talked about longevity. You talked about early death. That got my attention. I'm like, death? Yeah, death. Have 2 other points. That way, when you're telling people what you do, you have those 2 other points. Bam. These are the 3 things that really are going to affect you if you don't get sleep. Because there's so many. And we're learning more every day. But pick the 3. And like I said, death is attention grabbing. And have the other ones. That when you're in an elevator, you're pitching to that CEO, you have it. And your passion really did show. You're serious, you're believable, you sound like an expert. I was like, yeah, where do I sign? Where do I pay you to tell me more?
Thank you. That's great.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Love it.
I have one thing if we have time.
Yeah.
I was at a speaking thing, like a TEDx, I think it was TEDx actually, and a woman came out who's like a multi-sensory artist, and she had like her board, you know, with that makes sounds and whatnot, and a big screen and whatever. And she was the coolest, beautiful, hip, cool woman artist, and so just awesome to look at and the whole thing. But I tell you the thing that knocked me out is that she came out there and she just stood there, which of course we got quiet. And I started to feel nourished immediately because the chaos had stopped. And she said, "You're too busy. You're doing too much." And it went on from there. And it was just very powerful because what she was talking about in the medium merged, you know? So just a little.
Thank you.
Mm.
Awesome feedback.
Nice. Love it. Thank you.